Hello students and welcome back to the video lecture series of software engineering. Today's topic is again requirement modeling. I am your instructor Ms. Shruti Raval. So till now you have studied about requirement engineering, that is we have studied the basics of requirement engineering. Now we are going to start requirement modeling. It means we are going to start the actual diagrams which are used while specifying the requirement engineering, right? So let us first of all study what do you mean by requirement modeling. The basic requirement modeling is specifying your requirements in a graphical form, or you can say in a diagrammatic form, right? So there are basic two approaches which are associated with requirement modeling. The first is structured analysis model, and that is basically depicting the flow of your data. So which includes the structural modeling or procedural modeling. The example of procedural diagrams are DFD and control flow diagram. The next model is object oriented analysis model, which is followed if you are following the object oriented methodology, and all the UML diagrams, that is unified modeling language diagrams, are included in object oriented analysis model, right? So we will study both of them. We will study DFD as well as we will study the UML diagrams. Now you can see over here, if there is a software requirement, the basic analysis model is divided into four parts. The first is all the diagrams related to scenario, that is scenario based model. It consists basically of the user stories and use cases. Also you may say that activity is also a part of this. The next is class based model, which consists of the class diagram and collaboration diagram. The next is behavioral model, which depicts the behavior of your system, right? It consists of the state diagram as well as sequence diagram. Basically they are state diagram is basically depicting the behavior of the state of an object, whereas sequence diagram is the sequence of object interaction. And the last category of analysis model is flow based model, which consists of your data flow and control flow diagram, right? The first thing that we are going to study is scenario based diagram, and the scenario based diagram is basically the practical extent to which a project can be performed. It describes the system from user's point of view, and basically user stories, that is user scenarios, are used for depicting the user scenario based diagram. And the best diagram that is used in industry for depicting user scenario is a use case diagram and activity diagram also. So we are going to study use case diagram, activity and swim lane diagram. So in today's lecture, what is the diagram that we are going to study? We are going to study use case diagram, right? Now what is the purpose of use case diagram? You already know that it is a scenario based diagram, and scenario based diagram, it means you are seeing the system from user's perspective or user's point of view. So the purpose of use case diagram is to capture the dynamic aspect of a system. So also you can categorize the diagrams into major categories: dynamic diagram as well as static diagram. Use case is capturing the dynamicity of the system, in which, because user is doing something which you are capturing in use case diagram, so the behavior of use case is dynamic obviously. And use case diagrams are used to gather the requirements of the system, basically the functional requirements, including the external and internal influences, right? Now let us study what are the basic symbols of use case diagram. The first symbol of use case diagram is the use case itself. So this is an oval symbol. Inside this you will write the functionality that user is performing, right? So this is a symbol for use case. The next symbol is actor. Actor basically means the user of your system. So the first thing that you need to specify in a use case diagram is you have to list down the actors. What are the different users of your system? The next thing you will do is you will list down the activities or the functionalities that the user is performing, right? So these are the two symbols, and to depict the relationship between both of them, that is the actor and user, you are having this symbol, a simple straight line. Okay, now let us study What are the different relationship possible in a use case diagram? The first relationship which is possible in a use case diagram is between an actor and a use case, that is a simple association, right? We will study every relationship in detail. Let us just list down them first. The second is generalization of an actor. So this is a relationship between an actor and another actor. The next is generalization of a use case, which is the relationship between two use cases. The next is extend relationship between two use cases, and the last is include relationship between two use cases. So these are the 5 basic relationships which are possible in a use case diagram. Let us study each of them in detail. The first is association between an actor and a use case. You can see that if there is a bank related application that I am creating, I have defined 2 actors, or you can say users of my system. The first is customer and the second is bank employee, which will interact with my system, right? Now what is association between an actor and a use case? You know the symbols. So this is a use case. It is basically the functionality. You are listing down the actors who are going to interact with the system. This is the relationship. The straight line is the association between actor and a use case, which depicts that bank employee is performing this functionality. It means bank employee is related to this functionality. Customer is related to this functionality. It is just associated with this functionality, right? So this is the use case, this is the use case, and the straight line is basically the association or simply the relationship between the actor and the use case. So this is a functionality that is performed by an actor. So if any actor is performing any functionality, directly you can use this association relationship between actor and use case. The next relationship between an actor and actor is generalization of an actor. So here you can see that I have 3 actors, right? So there is a customer, there is a bank employee, and there is a special type of customer, NRFC customer. Now what do you mean by generalization of an actor? It means that customer is an actor which is a general actor, but there are some special type of customer which has some of the privilege functionalities which this common actor does not perform. So this functionality, if I want to depict in my use case, can I associate it with the general customer? No, because general customer is depicting all the customer of your bank. But this convert currency is a functionality which is not available for all the customer, but it is only available for specialized NRFC, that is NRI customers only, right? So how can I depict such relationship? Because NRFC is a part of customer only, you can depict it between the 2 actors, that is generalization between 2 actors. Because NRFC is a specialized customer, you can point an arrow towards the customer indicating that customer is a general class, right? Okay, so the next relationship is generalization of a use case. We have already seen generalization of an actor, but that was the relationship between 2 actors, whereas generalization of a use case is the relationship between 2 use cases. So here you can see there is an actor student and there is a use case pay for registration. Now if there are multiple options for paying, for example, the student can pay by internet banking or by phone, right? That is GPay. So there are different options for these particular use case. So these are the specialized use case which are the subset of a general use case. Then you can show this generalization relationship between 2 use cases, similar to the generalization of an actor, right? The next relationship is extend relationship between use cases. So now you can see that there is a customer and customer is able to deposit the funds, right, in his or her account. Now what do you mean by an extend relationship? Extend relationship is a relationship between 2 use cases in which the extended use case is basically an optional use case which is triggered based on some condition. right? So it is not necessary that this extend use case is always performed. This is a functionality which gets triggered based on some condition. For example, if there is some sort of coding in the system that if you deposit the fund in your account, your amount is over 10,000 or your age is over 55, the bonus of that account will be calculated. So here you can clearly see that if this condition gets true, then only you are calculating the bonus. This means this functionality or this use case gets triggered based on a particular condition, right? So this is an optional use case, but it is extending the functionality of the extended use case. Okay, so this was extend relationship. Similar to extend relationship, you have include relationship, which is also a relationship between two use case. But you may wonder, what is the difference between extend and include? Okay, so here you can see that there is a actor customer, there is a functionality or use case deposit fund, also there is a another functionality withdraw fund. Now here you can see there is another use case update balance. When you are having include relationship between two use case, it means the use case which you are including in the base use case, that is not an optional use case, but it is compulsory to be included, right? So if your base use case is functionality is happening or getting triggered, by default your included use case functionality triggers. There is no condition involved, so this is not an optional use case. So because we know that whether we deposit the fund or we withdraw the fund, the balance will get updated. So the balance update functionality is by default included inside the base use case. So this is the basic difference between an extend and include, that when you are extending a use case, the extended use case is optional and it triggers based on a condition, whereas where you are including a use case into the base use case, there is no condition which is getting triggered. This included use case is compulsory getting triggered if your base functionality is getting triggered, right? So you can also see the difference that if you have an extend relationship, the arrow starts from the extended use case and it ends, the arrowhead is towards the base use case, whereas if you have the include relationship, the arrow starts from the base use case and the arrowhead is pointed towards the included use case. Okay, so this were the 5 relationship in a use case diagram. Now let us study a basic user scenario. Now here there is a basic use case diagram for library management system. If you want to depict the user scenario, this is the basic template of user scenario. Let us see what is this description that we have written in a user scenario. The first is the use case title, right? So here you have different use cases that you can see, right? So in this use case diagram you have two actors, librarian and student, and there are a number of functionalities that this librarian and student can perform. I have taken only one functionality, login, and I have returned the user scenario for that particular functionality only. So now you can get an idea that this user scenario descriptions number is equal to the use cases in your use case diagram. So individually you can write the user scenario for every use case of your use case diagram. Currently we will see an example for only login. So first thing that you will write is your use case title, that is login. The next thing that you will write is abbreviated title, because there is a possibility that your use case title is very long. You can abbreviate it. The next is use case ID. It is a possibility that there are multiple use cases in your system. You have to write the ID of which use case you are referring. The next is action. So basically, actors. Basically you are going to write the actors which are associated with this use case. In our case you can see that student is also able to log in, as well as librarian is also equal to able to log in. So the actors involved in this particular use case are librarian and student. Then we have to write the description that what does this functionality do. Okay, so we have to write a description of what is login in our system. The next is sequence of steps that you have to perform while the user is interacting with this use case. It means while a student or librarian is get logged in your system and this login functionality is being executed, what are the task sequence that is to be followed? So here you can see the sequence has been written. The system shows the login screen, the user fills the username and password requirements, and the system acknowledges according to the entry, that is whether you have entered the correct information or not, right? So these are the task sequence for the use case that you have to write. The next is you have to write post condition. It means once this use case functionality is executed, what after this? After you enter the login details, what happens? Exactly, the control is flown from one screen to another, right? So there is a procedure which has to be followed, that is known as post condition. The next is, are there any exceptions associated with your functionality? You know that if you write wrong username or password, then there is an exception, that is there will be an error message that is generated. So if you have this sort of error messages, then you can write over here. If you have done some sort of exception handling related to this functionality, you can write that over here. The next is you have to write the modification history, because you know that functionality changes over time, right? There may be something which is changing in this particular functionality. So the requirement if changes for this functionality, the use case and use case scenarios description also changes. You have to modify it according to that modification. You have to write the date over here, what is the modification history and when was it last modified. And the last is you have to write the author of this use case scenario. So this is a basic template for a particular use cases. Now if you have 10 use case in your use case diagram, you will have 10 different user scenario for each use cases, right? So this was all about use case diagram and user scenarios. I hope that is clear, and this was all about today's lecture. Thank you.